What is up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to Party on Broad. Ryan, we finally have real NFL football to break down and talk about. He is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA on X. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, man. You're absolutely right. This is fantastic that we, not only are we talking about an Eagles win on Victory Monday here, but yeah, it was something else. There was a lot of highs, a lot of lows. It was an ugly game. It was sloppy, but there were a lot of great points, lots of positive things to build on. So we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, overall, I thought there was a lot more positives than negatives. We're going to break down top takeaways against the Packers. We're going to also get down and dirty with this upcoming matchup with the Atlanta Falcons. Let's get into our top takeaways from week one. Top takeaways from week one. Ryan, lead us off, man.
Listen, I'm gonna go the Dives route and go untraditional. I know, shocking, but my number one takeaway is that we need to fix the preseason. Honestly, you look not only just the Eagles game, but you look NFL wide, and offenses weren't scoring at a high rate. Quarterback play was down. You look at Jalen Hurts, and it took him a while before he finally got into a real rhythm. And again, I know there's other factors of playing in Brazil and on a field you're unfamiliar with that didn't seem to have all the footing in the world. But still, there wasn't just him; it was other players too. And I just feel like the offense really wasn't out there at all during the preseason. And, we're more likely going to go to a 2 preseason game and an 18 game full NFL schedule. But we got to do it better. We got to figure out how to get players out there, get them a little, game ready so that we can get ready for week one, because that first half was a little ugly on a lot of different fronts.
Dude, it wasn't just the Eagles.
Right.
Yeah, 33 offensive touchdowns across the NFL in week one. Everyone was sloppy. Everyone was rusty. A lot of bad quarterback play, like you said, on the Football Smack Talk show at 6 p.m. Mondays. But my top takeaway, obviously, you can talk about Saquon. He was outstanding. He was everything and then some for the Philadelphia Eagles. Some fun stat nuggets. You touched on this during the Football Smack Talk show. He has as many games with 100-yard rushing yards and 3 touchdowns as an Eagle as he has had in 6 years with the New York Giants. It's pretty awesome.
I love that.
That's nuts. He had more rushing yards, points, and 30-yard plays in week one than the entire New York Giants team. And his 3 touchdowns from scrimmage are tied for the most by any player in a team debut in a Super Bowl era. What a first game, man. What a first game. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The fact that you just said 33 total offensive touchdowns, that's 9% just to Saquon. of the league. Of the league. One player, 9% of the total touchdowns. That's insanity. Listen, outside of the first -5 rush play that he had to start his career, I'm pretty sure Saquon did pretty darn good after that. And thank God, outside of Jalen and maybe some of the, I don't know, throws he'd like to have back, decisions he'd like to have back. There certainly were a few. I thought the offense did great despite that. They had 3 turnovers. They still scored 34 points. That we cannot just keep quiet about that. Even if they get field goals on those, that's still another 9. That's still 42, 43 points. that we could have possibly scored. And, it's not like Green Bay has a terrible defense. They have one of the better corners in the league. They have one of the better D tackles in the league. They have a nice young secondary and nice young linebackers. So, they weren't absolutely terrible. I just thought our offense was, once we kind of, once Jalen kind of figured himself out there, was humming. I mean, who's stopping Devontae Smith and AJ Brown? I mean,
it's truly amazing they were able to put 34 points on the board and look as sloppy as they did at times.
Right. That is the positivity that I want to take from that, is that this offense was far from perfect, yet still put up more points than certainly what we were seeing last year. And I switching over to the defensive side of the ball, I was so, I had so low expectations. There was a lot of changeover. There was a lot of new people and a lot of new positions. And, again, I didn't really expect much. And I was blown away. They weren't perfect either. They missed some tackles. They missed, some plays. But overall, I thought they 100% kept us in this game. Those 3 turnovers, they absolutely kept us in this game by limiting the points from the Packers off those turnovers.
Red zone defense
was 100% bend but don't break. And, outside of, maybe a missed tackle here or Avonte Maddox playing like absolute garbage, I was encouraged by what we saw. The linebackers hold it. I mean, the fact of the matter is we didn't see Trotter once because we didn't need to. Zach Baum was out there for 100% of the plays. And our boy Nakobe Dean was out there for 96%. He took only a few plays off. And that was only because we had Zach Baum out there and we were only running one linebacker. So, again, it was amazing to see Baum flying all over the field, 15 total tackles, 2 sacks. I think David, is going to hit that over real soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was more encouraged by Dean. I know everybody wants to talk about that drop, basically pick 6. But I'm not focusing on that. There's a reason why he plays defense and not wide receiver. And I thought he played amazing. He was great in the run in the run game. And lastly, the thing I'll say about the defense is Q. He wasn't perfect either. He definitely, could have been a little better, but he's a rookie. It's his first game. His first game is in friggin' Brazil. I thought he played amazing for everything, he was built up to be. He is going to be, and more. And he absolutely has the swagger of a all-pro corner. He was talking trash the whole time, and I absolutely loved it.
I'll throw one more on defense. I thought Reed Blankenship had a very strong game as well. We've kind of, not been negative about Reed Blankenship. I thought be realistic about Reed Blankenship. He had a very strong game. And then going back to the offense, I think we all agree the biggest concern for the Eagles offense was that interior offensive line. Dude, I mean, take PFF for what it is, but Cam Jurgens and Mekhi Becton both played 76 snaps. Cam Jurgens 1 pressure allowed, 0 sacks allowed, and 22 run blocks. Mekhi Becton 2 pressures allowed, 0 sacks allowed, and looked really. I mean, he had a pass blocking grade of 80, and considering this was Cam Jurgens' first start at center, Mekhi Becton's first NFL start at guard. You can't really ask for more than that. The Eagles piled up 410 yards. They kept pressure off of Jalen Hurts. The Packers had 2 sacks on 36 dropbacks. And you cannot move on until we discuss that 7+ minute drive at the end of the game. That really, I hope, is the bread and butter of this Eagles 2024 offense. And we'll get into that moving forward. But overall, I mean, there are some concerns like you mentioned with Jalen Hurts' decision-making, that throw when he threw across his body into the end zone. That was horrible. Absolutely atrocious. play.
I feel like I can forgive that one a little bit more than the first interception. I mean, there was not a play to be made. He was throwing into triple coverage, and again, that one was ugly. The one where Jair got it in the end zone, I know what he saw, and yes, it was again, it wasn't great and pretty, and I think if he had been slightly quicker on that, it might have worked, and it might have worked had AJ Brown not slipped. It was there. It was there. He just missed it, honestly. And combined with Brown falling, but there were a couple other decisions. The one that screen pass that it was almost a pick six.
Yeah, that was close.
God, that was so ugly. And that was right before the
literally the play before.
Yeah, so that was not a good look for him. But I feel like if you take about maybe 5 plays away, 5 throws away, I thought Hurts did good. And even when he was running the ball, you still almost felt like he was still like a slight step slower. But man, I mean, he still was just I mean, there was a couple of those runs where he just powered through and got first downs, and I mean, obviously, the tush push might have to be at least put away for a little bit until we can figure it out. But I don't know. I'm trying not to harp on Hurts. I think he was a little rusty, made a few bad decisions. Outside of that, he was pretty decent.
It was up and down. I mean, you could go to the decision making. You could go to those throws, obviously, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. He looked really good against the blitz. I think he was 6 for 6 when under pressure against the Packers. I mean, that is huge considering everything that went down last year. He looked really good in motion, and I thought there was a huge contingency correlation between how good he looked against the Packers when he was in motion. I think his numbers were awesome.
It was I've seen them too. It was literally the touchdown passes came while in motion. The accuracy was almost about 80%. And when you look at non-motion, those were the 2 interceptions. It pass accuracy was like 30%. Like it was night and day. So they did motion almost 70%. So like you can't run motion every play. But they got to figure out why the non-motion was affecting him so much.
The RPOs, the quarterback draws, they were god awful. Yeah. It almost felt like the defense knew it was coming, every single time. So they got to work on that. Rick says Hurts played well for having no playing time in the preseason. Reed Blankenship is an intelligent player. Richie says grading Juergens, I give him a C. Becton gets an A+. If Barkley does not recover the fumble and the Jordan Love leads a comeback, we are having a different discussion.
You can say that in the game, honestly.
I need to rewatch the game with those few bad decisions removed. Hurts, beautiful passes to Saquon and AJ. Best rated quarterback against blitz on Sunday and top 5 rated quarterback in the pocket. Do you think our defense has potential? I do. I think roles are being defined on this team. Yeah. Like you mentioned, like Nakobe Dean and his run defense. He was outstanding. I don't believe that PFF crap whatsoever. Like, I guess my expectations are a little lower than everyone else, but like I thought he was fine. I have no issues with Nakobe Dean from Friday night. But you mentioned Quinyon. Isaiah Rodgers is going to be out there as soon as he can. And don't forget Cooper DeJean. So Avonte Maddox won't be out there for much longer. He looked cooked in coverage.
I was, I speaking on that, and that I think was more disappointing than anything is that, and it's not surprising that Vic Fangio kind of relied on veteran players out there, and went with the Avonte Maddox when, Keely Ringo certainly could have gotten a lot more snaps out there, especially with Isaiah Rodgers out there. And obviously he has some sort of trust level for Q, because he was out there and making plays, and he was, CB2 there outside of Keely. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen that. But I think what's more concerning about the defense than anything, and this is something we have talked about, is our front four, and most specifically our edges.
Yeah,
I
we're gonna talk about
tough.
that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
eesh.
we're gonna talk about that. Let's not get to that yet. I have a whole thing on that.
Uh,
Long story short, Byron, absolutely. I think there's a lot of potential.
Agreed.
It's going to be a really fun season. There's going to be a lot of highs and lows, but that's what happens when you have a young defense. Defense will be top 12.
Woo!
I don't even know what I was saying there. Top
Yeah, I don't
12.
know.
Top 12 by the end of the season. Bond is for real. Dean is for real. Q is for real. Carter is going to be an all-pro. Where are you at when it comes to the Zach Bond hype? Do you think what we saw on Friday night is the expectation, or is that just a game for the ages?
Oh no, there's no way that can be the expectation. I mean, the man had
Someone
50.
was calling him Brian Urlacher. I forget who the media outlet was, but
Well, because why? Because I mean, all right, I get it, but like, I think I'm not saying this type of game isn't within his reach to get a couple of times this year, but I think this is more of a rarity. He'll come back down to earth slightly, but even in saying that, I still think he's, again, most likely going to be the top guy. It'll be interesting to see the whole Devin White thing and how he mixes in with Bond and Dean, and what his role ends up being now that everything has kind of come out after the last a week or so.
yeah.
So I certainly want to see that first and foremost, but I think this is certainly at the higher end of what Bond's possibility is. But I don't think it's saying that it couldn't be hit again.
Was there a walk-off tonight?
Oh snap! Really?
I don't know.
I know it was close.
I'm watching football.
I was gonna say I'm away from a.
All right, that's 18 minutes of Eagles versus Packers. Again, go check out our post-game show from last Friday night, breaking down everything top to bottom. Eagles versus Packers. Let's get into Eagles versus Falcons. And next up, we are going to talk our top storylines heading into week 2 for the Birds. All right, top storyline. Oh, I'm getting some echo. Top storyline for the Philadelphia Eagles heading into week 2, and I love this comment by Richie. It looks like the Vikings picked the better player again with Van Ginkel over Bryce Huff. That's my take. My takeaway is, can the real Bryce Huff please stand up? He played 30 snaps against the Packers, 1 tackle, 0 pressures, 0 sacks. It was his first game without a pressure since week 7 of 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is not a run stopper. It showed on Friday. However, his run defense grade per PFF was better than his pass rushing grade. He was just an absolute 0 against Green Bay. In fact, my biggest memory of Bryce Huff week 1 was the 70-yard bomb. And if you watch that clip, you'll literally see Bryce Huff on ice skates, like just totally wiping out on his ass. So Bryce Huff, man, we need you. We need you to get your shit together and be the pass rusher, maybe half the pass rusher that Hassan Reddick was, because that is still my biggest concern, the pass rush. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, listen, you are not wrong. Huff certainly is a concern, and again, I'm more or less kind of a guy who likes to stay positive. So I'm not going to cement my opinion of him after one game. And one game does not make a season. So I think there were a lot of different factors. Again, maybe the field had something to do with it. I don't know. So I'm gonna wait and see how he does against the Falcons. And then again, if it's still the same thing, all right, then the panic meter might be up a little bit, but we might need to figure out something sooner than later if Huff isn't going to be productive, essentially. But um, yeah, I think the storyline needs to be, can the defense continue to play better than expected?
Yep. Yep. Huff played better than Reddick. I think that's because Reddick's not playing right now. Looks like, yep, we already did that. Sorry, the keyboard's not working. Hold on, Reddick would disappear for a month without saying anything. Who else got a sack? It was Zach Bond got both sacks for the Birds. Do you think Nick's job is on the line? I do. Absolutely. And we've talked about this before on previous shows. Like, it was so vital for the Eagles to come out, strong out the gate. So vital for all the BS with the whole ESPN article and media swarming between or regarding the Jalen Hurts Nick Sirianni relationship and all that. It was so big for them to come home with a W. Hopefully that continues, but we'll see. Don't write off Bryce Huff. He's going to be a solid producer. We'll see. He's doing a lot of things that he's not used to doing, or things that made him successful with the New York Jets. He's playing in a completely different defense. I feel we should beat the Falcons by at least 6 points, by 10. Do you agree? We're going to get into score predictions in just a little bit. Do you have any other storylines before we get into top matchups?
No, I mean, obviously, Kirk Cousins didn't really look that great there for the Falcons in his debut. And, he's also coming into a primetime game, and we all know primetime Kirk. So I think that's certainly something to continue to look at, and hopefully it continues, because I would love nothing more than to have to walk out of that stadium as up 2-0. Be great.
Yep. All right, let's get into our top matchups to watch between the Eagles and the Falcons. Top matchups to watch between the Falcons and the Birds. Do you want me? I'll go. I'll go here. All right. I never get to go first. Give me the Eagles pass rush versus the Falcons offensive line. It's funny because where the Packers were the weakest in the middle of their O-line last week, I think it's the exact opposite. The Falcons are really strong up the middle on that O-line. You got Drew Dalman, who had a breakout season last year. He's their center per PFF, third highest graded run blocker among centers. You've got Chris Lindstrom, who is right up there with one of the best right guards in the NFL. And then on the other end, you've got a rookie last year in Matthew Bergeron, looking to take another step forward in year two. All 5 starting Falcons offensive linemen returned this year. They were, heading into this season, I did some research. PFF had the Atlanta Falcons offensive line graded number 6 in the NFL. It didn't look like it week 1. It did not look. I mean, nothing looked really good on offense for the Falcons on week 1. But TJ Watt absolutely destroyed the Falcons offensive line. He had a sack, 2 quarterback hits, 2 pass rush wins across 23 pass rush snaps. He also recovered a fumble. He also had 2 more fumbles that were negated by penalties. and 3 defensive stops against the run. So this is a Falcons offensive line that is, I think, not as good as PFF indicates. I think they're about probably middle of the pack. And I want to see this Eagles pass rush get after it. It's not going to be Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis or Milton Williams or Mora Jomo, who had some really good snaps against the Packers. It's going to have to come off the edges. It's going to be like Zach Bonds providing pressure and getting into the grill of Kirk Cousins. So everything we just said, Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, guys like that, I want to see really wow, what a catch. What a touchdown by the Niners. Brandon Ayuk. Anyway, what I'm watching for against the Falcons is this pass rush for the Philadelphia Eagles really showing an improvement in week 2. What about you, man?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to be looking at the Atlanta passing game against our secondary.
Sorry.
Oh. You okay?
It looked like he caught it, but on the different angle, he actually fell on it. My bad.
No touchdown?
No touchdown. No.
Oh, well, there goes fantasy points for me. Anyway. Yeah, listen, I'm going to be looking at that Atlanta passing game against our secondary. I thought our secondary did very well. They barely even threw it Slay's way, and Q certainly stepped up. I thought our safeties played well. I know a lot of people are kind of, hating on Chauncey for, a missed tackle or two, but honestly, I thought he was outside of those two, which were probably very hard, and considering the turf there, I thought he did a very good job tackling. But Atlanta has the potential to be a really good offense, considering, not only do you have Bijan Robinson, who, is a great running back, but also can catch the ball out of the backfield. You have Kyle Pitts, who has the potential to be a really good tight end. Drake London, a really good wide receiver. They have Mooney. I think their third wide receiver is Ray McLeod, who was with, I think, San Fran last. So they certainly have some weapons, and Tyler Algier as a backup running back as well. But I really want to see how they hold up, because again, when Kirk is on, he can be a really good quarterback. Like, I know everybody likes to clown him and all that, and all it takes is one great game on primetime to lose that moniker of primetime Kirk. You know what I mean? And I'd hate for that to be against us. So, I'm kind of wanting to see the potential in this offense versus our secondary there, and seeing if we can hold up, and if Reed and Gardner Johnson have themselves a nice game again. And I also want to kind of see, again, are we going to get Isaiah Rodgers back? Are we going to hopefully not see what's his face? Man, I already forgot his name. It was so bad.
Avonte?
Yeah, Avonte Maddox. Thank you. Seriously, when you're just bad, you just get out my brain. And again, hopefully Keely plays a little more. So they certainly have the stopping power. So I'm going to be watching that matchup for sure.
Richie says Jake Matthews is a beast. He is a beast.
Very much so.
It's the right side of the Falcons O-line that the Eagles should really feast on. Drew Dalman gave up 3 pressures and a sack in week 1. Chris Lindstrom, he's extremely good, but he did give up 3 pressures, 2 quarterback hits, and a sack. Caleb McGarry, the starting right tackle, 2 pressures allowed and a sack. That's where the Eagles could find some success. Drake is slow. Watson is fast. How concerned are we about Hurts? We're not concerned right now.
No.
It's too early. Let's see how he looks on a normal field where they're actually playing football rather than ice skating. We'll see. But overall, there are a little signs about Hurts that, there is light at the end of the tunnel against the blitz and in motion. If Sidney Brown's return in October, do you see Chauncey moving to slot? I like that idea a lot. If Ringo, DeJean, Maddox can handle the job, safeties Blankenship and Brown, cornerbacks Slay, Mitchell, and Chauncey. I think Chauncey is best in the slot.
Sure.
I agree. I want to see Ringo out there more. I'm really curious how snaps look for Ringo and DeJean going forward. It's going to be really interesting. The secondary is loaded, man.
It really is, and you're right. And Chauncey, I feel like I don't know. I know you really like him. I just like him kind of as that free range, do whatever you got to do kind of guy out there. And again, I wouldn't be opposed to having kind of three safeties out there.
Use Barkley as a decoy. Period. I absolutely loved how they utilized Barkley in week 1. He had 25 touches, but even without the ball, he should be in motion. He should be in the slot. He is everything for this Eagles offense. Just quick notes about the Falcons offense as well. They don't run play action, which is basically Kirk Cousins' bread and butter in the NFL. They did none of it in week 1. One of my favorite tweets of the week last week, the Falcons were in pistol or shotgun on 96% of their snaps in week 1. Of the 22 snaps out of shotgun, they had 0 design runs. On the 26 snaps out of pistol, the Falcons ran the ball on 81% of their plays. So what does that tell you? A, it's an extremely predictable offense. And B, that should bode well for the Philadelphia Eagles if that continues.
Hopefully,
because there's already tape out there and shades of the Eagles 2023 offense when we were screaming, especially on those third downs. And keep an eye out for that. So let's get to our next segment of the night. And I already forgot what it is. Oh, it's the fill in the blank one. Okay, cool. Let's do our fill in the blank segment. Let's get it. All right, fill in the blank time. Some more comments. They're flowing tonight. Eagles had the most sacks in franchise history in 2022. Why was Barkley on the sideline at the end of the first half? He got hurt.
Yeah, he got a little banged up.
He got banged up. I think it was his arm or his wrist.
He ran right into somebody. Got a little stinger and came out for a few plays.
Yep.
And got awful Gainwell got in there.
All right. The Eagles will beat the Falcons because fill in the blank, Ryan.
Because our offense is just going to lay too much firepower onto that defense. And listen, I understand that the Falcons defense is certainly better than they were last year. And they certainly have some really good guys. I mean, they traded for Matthew Judon, but he, just came, over about a week ago. They have Grady Jarrett, who's a great edge. Their secondary is certainly much improved as well. They have Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell. They just signed Justin Simmons. Again, been there for about a week. And again, so I don't want to certainly discount Atlanta, but I just feel like our offense was not at our best, and yet we were still able to put up points at will. And I just think combine that with the simple fact that their offense is underwhelming. They have a lot of potential. Some of those, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, those guys should be a lot better than they are in the NFL, but so far they have not been. And it's basically they're running on potential, and they were hoping the quarterback change would do something to that, and obviously that wasn't the case last week. So I think you combine those two facts. This should be, and plus our first real home game in front of the Link on a Monday night. You have prime time. and I'm going to be in attendance. So that fact alone, jeez, uh, that's going to be a victory. So, yeah, I don't see the Eagles losing this one. Um, just they just have too much firepower, and I don't think Atlanta has enough defense to stop it all.
That's why it was such a low key, like important win for the Eagles, because that Brazil game was technically a home game
Yeah,
for the Birds, so that they had to win that. Jason Kelsey's on Monday Night Football,
sure is.
looking thinner. The camera's not adding 10 pounds. He's looking good, man. He's looking
Yeah,
trim. Quentin says we have too many weapons. The one thing we have to do this season is run, because I feel like last if we tried to run the ball, it would have been a different picture. The Eagles' offense obviously is god awful in 2023 during that second half of the year, but they refuse to run at strength versus strength. And my answer for this is similar. The Eagles will beat the Falcons because they'll continue to own time of possession. I go back to that 7+ minute drive we saw from the Eagles, and that was very reminiscent of the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles second half. We're just going to sit on the ball and we're going to run this thing out. I want to see more of that. I want to see the Eagles keep getting away from that hero ball. Like that is something that does not breed success. You know, you look at the Eagles on Friday night, they had 25 first downs. For reference purposes, they only averaged 21 first downs in 2023. In 2022, they averaged over 23, which was number 2 in football. So way too small sample size. It is overreaction Monday, but I want to see this horizontal offense led by Kellen Moore just churn first downs, whether that's through the air, through the ground. I don't care if there's no running backs in the backfield. I don't care if they're spreading the ball. Just be an efficient offense, and let's get time of possession back. I think they won it like 32-27 overall against the Packers. So that's what I want to see. If they're going to do that, the Eagles will be in good shape. The Eagles will lose to the Falcons because I'll go first. For me, this one's simple. Jalen Hurts continues to channel his inner Carson Wentz and plays too much hero ball. Jalen Hurts had 4 turnover-worthy plays on 39 dropbacks on Friday night. Unacceptable. I think if the Eagles are to lose, it's because the Eagles keep turning over the ball, giving the Falcons extra life, keeping them within striking distance, kind of like they did with the Packers, to be honest. Like, I firmly believe if the Eagles were able to clean up their game and not look so sloppy, it would probably have been a blowout in favor of the Eagles. And that's what we cannot see on Monday night against the Falcons. I want to see a efficient, tight, clean game where they're taking the checkdowns, they're running the ball well, and they just sit on the clock and keep everyone, I guess, clean. So what about you, man? Why do they lose?
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. I think, yeah, I think it's simply turnovers. I think the dumb plays are what should have lost us this game last week or on Friday, and it didn't. And I think we should consider ourselves lucky that our defense held at the right time and the offense was able to kind of bounce back and get some points. But listen, you can't keep doing that. That's not a recipe for winning games. And I think if we have another 3 turnovers, we're not winning this game. Atlanta, while certainly not as good as Green Bay, I would say, but yeah, I feel like if you give a team an extra 3 possessions there, normal teams are gonna take advantage of it. And I think it's all good and well that we were able to come out with a victory in Green Bay, but we can't ever do that again and expect to win. So dumb plays and turnovers.
Yep. Reggie says, I want to see timing routes and fades on offense. Use Wilson as a weapon in the end zone. I think he only had one target.
Yeah, and that was never catchable ball.
Yeah. Yesterday was basically the first preseason game. They're rusty. They'll clean it up.
Yeah.
Hurts looks to run too much. I'd like to see more roll him out of the pocket. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Let's get to our X factors, the biggest X factors for the Birds against the Falcons. Biggest X factors for the Falcons the Eagles. It was really funny too because right before I did this, I did an interview with a Falcons guest that'll be debuting tomorrow at noon. And one of the questions I asked him was, "Who's like some X factors on the Falcons that Eagles fans should know?" And he was like, "I have nobody. I have no idea." Like it was really funny because like he is so down on this Falcons offense that beyond the big names, there's nobody to really give a shout out to. I'll go first. My biggest X factor for the Eagles, it's all about, and it begins and ends with stopping Bijan Robinson. So the guy I'm talking about is Nakobe Dean. I thought PFF got it wrong. I think his run defense going downhill, his recognition, his reaction skills were all really solid. You know, it wasn't perfect by any means, but I thought Nakobe Dean was violent at the point of attack. I thought his closing speed on ball carriers was very good, very evident from the tape. If you want to watch every single play of Nakobe Dean, look down on the channel. I put it out yesterday, literally every play, good and bad. And I thought it was very much better, way more good than bad.
Yeah.
There are times when he struggled to shed blocks. There were times when he did get picked apart a little bit on in coverage, but overall, I was good with Nakobe Dean, and I think if you kind of take out Bijan Robinson with this Falcons offense, you're probably going to win this game.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm literally right there with you. But I went with Jordan Davis.
Nice.
For the same reasons, essentially. And I think in tandem, that was one thing I wanted to watch heading into this Packers game is it's kind of the run defense as a whole. And while it, certainly wasn't great the entire game, Jacobs certainly got himself a couple of long runs there in the second half. I still think Jordan Davis had himself a pretty decent game, especially in that first half. And he needs to continue to do so because with the combination of Jalen Carter getting double teams and Jordan Davis in the run game and Nakobe Dean in the run game, I think that could be a really nice, a Bermuda Triangle, so to speak, of run defense. And I think Jordan Davis plays an important part in that. So look for him to certainly step up and stop Bijan Robinson because, as you said, you stop Bijan, you make them one-dimensional. We have the defensive backs to make that something to make them pay. So so you absolutely stop Bijan and at least contain him as much as possible. That is a recipe for success.
Jordan Davis, 35 snaps on Friday night, 0 pressures, 1 missed tackle, 0 tackles, no run stops.
I disagree in all of those. Yes, he wasn't putting any pressure on the quarterback. But I saw him involved in so many plays. And whether he was the first point of attack, maybe he didn't get the official tackle or whatever. I know I saw that big boy there in the run game more than he's being credited for. That is for sure.
Richie says Eagles linebackers versus Kyle Pitts, and Eagles linebackers versus Bijan. Quentin says Dean's size could be an issue in defending the run this week. Absolutely. We'll see. All right. Let's get to our score predictions for Monday night. All right, score predictions against the Falcons. Join us tomorrow night as well on Birds of the Roundtable. We'll continue to do these every single week and keep score. Player of the game, Ryan, who are you going with?
I am going to go with Devontae Smith.
Ooh, I like it.
I think AJ Terrell is certainly going to be probably matched up on AJ Brown. Obviously, that didn't really seem to work for Green Bay with Jair Alexander, as obviously Brown went off. But I think it's going to be more of a concerted effort here with Terrell. Personally, I like Terrell a little bit better than Jair against Brown. Therefore, I'm liking Devontae to get in the end zone, get himself 80+ receiving yards.
I like it. I mean, should I just go for like the chalk answer, like Saquon?
Wait, chalk or your chalk? Because your chalk's different.
Yeah, I'll go AJ. I'm going to go AJ Brown. I think he has a huge game on Monday Night Football. Winning team. I'm just going to Eagles. I would be shocked if they don't win this by at least 7 points. What about you?
Yeah. Listen, I think I'm going to go an official score of 41.
Wow, 41
to 24.
Okay.
I'm thinking big victory here, cleaning up the sloppiness of last week. You don't have to worry about the footing there at the link. And I am expecting them to put up some numbers here. And listen, I think the defense is going to do enough to kind of hold them at bay as well. And 24 points for them is honestly is great.
I'm going to go 31-13 for the Birds. I think the defense a little bit better, Quentin. I think this is pretty much out of reach by the second half. So over under 48 points.
You have a bigger victory than I do.
Yeah. You're over. Over under on Jalen Hurts passing yards Monday night, 279.5.
Ooh. It's tough. I'm going to go over, but not by much. I think he does hit the over on that.
I also will go over. Over under on Zach Bond total tackles, 9.5.
Jeez. Total tackles.
He had 15 in week 1.
I know. I'll give him 10. I'll go over. I'll give him 10.
The reason why I said that,
that's tough,
is because if the Eagles score fast and Zach Bond's not really utilizing the run defense because the Falcons are now one-dimensional and need to throw. I don't know. I'm gonna go under. We go under. Bond guys are going over. Who has more total yards, Saquon or Bijan?
Saquon. Yeah. Saquon.
Gosh, I don't know.
Okay.
He had 25 coaches. Like it's got to be Kenny Gainwell for player of the game. Love it.
Okay, well, get out of here, you Kenny Gainwell burner account.
Total sacks for Bryce Huff.
Under.
Over 0.5. Under?
Under.
Ugh. I gotta agree.
I want to be wrong on this one, but
I agree.
show me first.
AJ Brown total receiving yards 119.5. I'm smashing the over on that one.
I'm gonna go under.
Okay.
I think AJ Terrell matches up better with Brown than Jair Alexander.
Okay. That's totally fair. Total Pitts.
Total Pitts?
Total receiving yards by Kyle Pitts, 39.5. And to be fair, the Eagles did a really good job against Packers.
They did. I'm going to go over just because I feel like Pitts can kind of line up a lot of spots there and kind of get himself in a position to get. I don't think he's going to get much over, but I just think he matches up a little bit better against our linebackers.
Mm-hmm. Pitts over. I'm going to go under on this one. What were the numbers for Musgrave and Kraft on Friday night? Do you remember?
No, hold on. The box score. Let me look it up real quick.
I got it too. For the Packers, Tucker Kraft had 37 yards on 2 catches, and Luke Musgrave had a goose egg, nothing.
Yeah, I don't think he got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's right there.
How was Nolan Smith last game? I thought he was okay. Nothing great. He was better than Bryce Huff, that's for sure. Antonio says when Huff goes off on Monday, don't change your energy about him. Dude,
okay. All right. Listen. First and foremost, I would love for him to go off, and it's not that we don't believe that it's possible. It's just I need for him to show me. Like I wish he does. I wish he gets 4 sacks. I hope he brings down the whole house. So I just again don't act like we're out here bashing the kid.
Not at all.
We just need to see it right now. He didn't have a good game.
He didn't have a good preseason. Let's be honest. So, K1 says Kenny G is better than Kyle Pitts.
Oh my
3
God.
sacks by the defensive line. Carter gets 1. Smith gets 1.5. Graham gets 0.5, and Huff gets a bagel.
Oh man.
All right, there's our predictions. We'll go more into it tomorrow night on Birds of the Round Table.
Sure.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I might be adjusting some of these tomorrow.
Of course you will. Of course you will.
We'll see. But that about does it. Ryan, final thoughts, plugs, time's yours.
Yeah, listen, it was a sloppy game. There were a lot of players that had great games, or a lot of players that had games. But it's past us now. Let's move on. I think, I think if we continue to do this, and by this I mean win ugly, win sloppy. If we're talking about this after our bye week, that this is still happening, then we should be concerned. Right now, let's pump the brakes. This isn't 2023. Let's not jump off the bend just yet. Let's see how they respond against Atlanta and see how they look. So,
yeah, I'm excited for the game. I'm not excited for Tuesday morning and heading to work. That's going to be brutal. But yeah, of course, join us tomorrow night, 8:00. We'll be talking everything Eagles versus Falcons, and then right after that, more college football preview for week 3. We also did one on Sunday yesterday. It's only yesterday.
I know, right?
Ryan, those things are getting hundreds of views. I'm surprised people actually give a damn about our thoughts on college football. I'm blown away. I am blown away by that. So thank you to whoever watches that show. It's amazing to me. we will be. Oh, I will be putting out an interview with Scott Kennedy. He is a Falcons insider. We talked more about top matchups to watch between the Eagles and the Falcons, stopping Jalen Hurts. Really good insight on everything you need to know about kind of the state of the Atlanta Falcons. I'll do a quick spoiler warning. He is down. He is very low on the Atlanta Falcons. It was kind of shocking because I thought there was a lot more excitement. They are really hurting after week 1 and putting up like 10 points against the Steelers.
Yeah.
So be sure to check that out. That'll be dropping at noon tomorrow. And of course, we'll do a week 4 preview next Sunday, and then post game and halftime, Eagles versus Falcons, everything there. So be on the lookout for that. I did see that headline. Jalen Hurts elite in week 1.
Wow, Phil, what are you smoking, bud? I think you put a little too much oregano on your pizzas there, pal. Good Lord. Well, I will not be on halftime or post this week, mostly because I'll be at the game. So certainly, if anybody is anywhere near Lot M, come on and find me. I got a free beer for you, and we'll talk a little birds. So.
Yeah, and make sure you challenge him in beer pong and flip cup because I guarantee a win for you, not Ryan. Shots fired.
Wow.
I'm still waiting for my championship belt. When does that come?
The gold medal not good enough?
No, I need like a wrestling belt that says I beat Ryan.
Listen, if you want to go head to head in all of these things, we will do that. We do not go head to head on many things.
I'm surprised anyone. Dude, for real, man. 1,000% yes.
That's coming from the Kenny G apologist.
We had a beer Olympics at Ryan's house, and we got the dub. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow night for Birds of the Round Table. He is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot. Stay awesome, everyone.